Hello, we would like to thank you for clicking on the Literacy Volunteers of Harrison County YouTube channel. If you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up and share and subscribe to our channel. Today we're going to do Math Lesson 5. This is on multiplying fractions. We've looked at what fractions are. We've looked at the least common denominator. We've also looked at adding fractions and subtracting fractions. So now we're looking at multiplying fractions. So there are three simple steps to multiplying fractions. First, we have to multiply the numerators. Those are the numbers on top. Then we have to multiply the denominators, the numbers on bottom. And then we have to simplify the fraction if we need to. So let's look at an example. We're going to multiply 1/2 times 2/5, right? So step one, we have to multiply the numerators. So here's our 1/2 and our 2/5. So over here we take 1 times 2, and that equals 2. So now we have a new numerator for our answer. So then we have to move on to step number 2. Step number 2, we're going to multiply the denominators. So here's our 1/2 times 2/5. So 1 times 2 is 2. And then if we multiply the denominators, 2 times 5 is 10. So the answer to our question of 1/2 times 2/5 is 2/10. But then we have to do step number 3. Step number 3, we have to simplify the fraction. We can reduce 2/10 to 1/5 because 2, divided by 2 is 1, 10 divided by 2 is 5. So 2/10 equals 1/5, and that would be our final answer. Okay, so I have another example. Let's try and see if we can remember the steps. 1/3 times 9/16. So we're going to multiply the numerators. Here are our numerators, the numbers on top. 1 times 9 is equal to 9. Then we're going to multiply our denominators. So we already have our 1 times 9 is equal to 9. We're going to multiply the 3 and the 16, which is equal to 48. So 9/48 is our answer. Can we simplify that? Yes, we can. So we can come down here. We can simplify this by, if we have 9/48 is equal to 3/16. All right, let's see what else we have here. All right. What we also want to look at is fractions and whole numbers. Can we multiply a fraction by a whole number? Yeah, we can do that, but the first thing we have to do, if we have in our example number 1 under whole numbers, if we have 2/3 times 5, we have to change 5 into a fraction. So the easiest way to do that is just to put it over 1. Anything over 1 is that number. Even if we had 100, 1,000, 1,000,000, it would still be that same number. So 5 over 1 is equal to 5. So we're going to change it to a fraction. Then we just proceed as we normally would. We have our 2/3, which we brought down from up here. Here's our 5 over 1. What is the first thing that we have to do? We have to multiply our numerators. So 2 times 5 is 10. Then we have to multiply our denominators. 3 times 1 is 3. So if we're going to leave this, this is top heavy, but we're going to leave it in this form because it didn't tell us to change it into a mixed number. So we're going to leave it as 10/3. Example number 2, we have 3, which is our whole number, and we're going to multiply that times 2/9. So what did we do the last time? Up here we put 5 over 1. We can do the same thing with 3. We can make 3 into 3 over 1, and then we can proceed. So we bring our 3 over 1 down here, and we're going to multiply it by 2/9. Step number 1, we multiply the numerators. 3 times 2 is 6. Step number 2, we multiply the denominators. 1 times 9 is 9. So our answer of 3 over 1 times 2 over 2/9 is equal to 6 over 9. Can we reduce that? Yes, we can. We can simplify 6/9 into 2/3 because 3 will go into 6 2 times and 3 will go into 9 3 times. So our final answer would be 2/3. All right, let's look here. We also want to look at multiplying mixed fractions. So a mixed fraction is a whole number with a fraction with it. That's mixed fraction. We're mixing a whole number with a fraction. So our first question is, what is 1 3/8 times 8? Let's go back to our pizza example so we can kind of visualize this. Here's one whole entire pizza. That's the whole. And then we have 3/8 of this pizza. So this together represents our 1 and 3/8 of a pizza. So first thing we have to do is to get all of these as fractions. So we're going to convert the mixed fraction to an improper fraction. Improper means the top number is bigger than the bottom number. The easiest way to do this, if we're looking at 1 and 3/8, is to multiply 8 times 1, which is 8, and then add the 3, right? That gives us 11. So 11/8 is 1 and 3/8 as an improper fraction. This is the way we want to use it. So if we cut the whole pizza into 8s, we can see how many 8s we have all together, right? So here's our one whole pizza into 8 slices. Then we have these 3 additional slices of this pizza. So we have 8 8s here, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that looks right. That's what we had here, 11/8. That's the same number. So we're going to use that 11/8 in our next series of problems. So now we have to multiply by 3 because that was the problem, was 1 and 3/8 times 3. So we're going to look at our pizzas. Here we have 1 and 3/8 of a pizza, 1 and 3/8 of another pizza, 1 and 3/8 of a third pizza. So we have 1 and 3/8 times 3. What did we do in those other 2 examples with whole numbers? Put them over 1. So we have 11/8 times 3 over 1. So now we're going to just follow the other steps. 11 times 3 for the numerators is 33, and 8 times 1 is 8. 33/8. So let's look at another representation to see if we can kind of figure out if we're right. So we want to convert this to a mixed fraction, our 11/8. We don't want to leave it as an improper fraction. So here are our 1, 2, 3, 4 whole pizzas we filled with 8s, and we have 1/8 left over, right? So if we want to see what 33/8 is, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 whole pizzas. So there's our 4 whole pizzas. 4 times 8 is 32 with 1 little 8th left over. So now we have 4, right, and 1/8. This is what it looks like if we would just do it all without the pizzas. But the pizzas help you to see the picture. So we have 1 and 3/8 times 3. We made our 1 and 3/8 into 11/8. And we put our 3 over 1, right? So now we're going to multiply. 11 times 3 is 33. 8 times 1 is 8. And then we switched it up here to 4 and 1/8. That's our mixed number, right? Okay, so let's look at one more example just to make sure that we're doing it properly. Here's example number 2. In this instance, we have 2 mixed numbers we're going to multiply together. We have 1 and 1/2 and 2 and 1/5. Here's our answer, but how did we get this answer? Let's look and see how we got it. We want to change this 1 and 1/2 to 3/2 and this 2 and 1/5 to 11/5, right? Let's see how we do that step by step. We're going to convert our mixed numbers to improper fractions. So 1 and 1/2, we get 2/2, which is 1, right? And then we're going to add this half. So that gives us the 3/2. Because remember when we added fractions, we moved the denominator over and added the numerators. So 2 plus 1 is 3. Same thing for 2/5. If we want to get 2, 5 divided into 10 goes 2 times. So that's 2, that's our whole number. And we have this 1/5 left over. So here's our 1/5. So we're going to add them just like we would normally add fractions. We bring our 5 over for our denominator. 10 plus 1 is 11. Now we can multiply. We've got our 2 numbers we need to multiply. So we bring our 3/2 down here, our 11/5 over here. 3 times 11 is 33. 2 times 5 is 10. So do we want to leave it in this representation here? Let's look and see if that's how we want our answer. We can convert that to a mixed number, right? So we take 10. How many times will it go into 33? 3 times, which gives us 30. And then 33 minus 30 gives us 3, and we put that back over our 10. So 3 and 3/10 is equal to 33/10. Our last example is 3 and 1/4 times 3 and 1/3. Let's make these into improper fractions, convert our mixed numbers. I did this the same way. 3 times 4 right here is 12, plus 1 is 13. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. So we have 13 fourths and 10 thirds. Now we can multiply. We multiply the numerators. 13 times 10 is 130. 4 times 3 is 12. But we don't want to leave it here. We want to convert it to a mixed number. So how many times does 12 go into 130? 10 times, which would equal 120. So if we take our 130 and minus 120, we get 10. So we put it up here, and then there, bring our 12 over. Can we reduce this? That would be our last step. Yes, we can reduce 10 and 10 twelfths to 10 and 5 sixths. That would be our final number. I'm hoping that you learned a lot about multiplying fractions. The next time we'll look at dividing fractions. Thank you, and please give us a thumbs up.